Okay. I believe it is now recording for our purposes. Do you all see?
Yeah, it
Okay,
says it's recording.
great. And so before I hand it over to Kathy to talk about this um, fourth installment of the roadmap sessions, the 5 year strategic roadmap session, just some objectives for you all so you're clear on why you're here and what we hope you all will learn. We hope that participants will get a better understanding of, it says second, and this is actually the fourth focus area of focus in the 5 year strategic roadmap from the foundation. Participants will gain insight into how they are succeeding in this area of focus. And then lastly, we hope you all will consider how your work on affiliate boards can further advance this area of focus in your community. And with that, I will hand it. Oh, so sorry. Lost the slides. I'll hand it over now to Kathy to present about strengthening civic and community infrastructure and leadership, which is today's topic.
All right, thanks, Colby. Yes, today's topic is strengthen civic and community infrastructure and leadership. And as you can see on this illustration, this is one of our 5 year goals. This is number 4. They don't go in any specific order of top priority or anything like that. But yes, this is the fourth of our installment of our webinars. And the strategic roadmap is our goals. That's like our overarching strategic plan. So we want to be certain that our work and our programs and our initiatives focus on and supports our strategic roadmap in all the work that we do, the work that the affiliates do, the work that the organizations that were physical sponsors. So we want to make sure it all aligns, and this roadmap helps us do that. Okay, next slide, please. Well, that's today's topic: strengthen civic and community infrastructure and leadership. So as we look, as you noticed on the roadmap, there are certain indicators of success that we have identified. That's not saying that's all the indicators of success. That's what we as an organization identified as some of the indicators for success. And so if we want our communities to grow, we want them definitely to have easy access to capital and technical assistance, which will help each community create the necessary infrastructure in their buildings. We want to see our youth more involved in local community organizations and development efforts. Our foundation and our affiliates, we definitely want them to be seen as trusted investment mechanisms to help local communities achieve their vision. So whenever people, think about community meetings, community meetings, we want our affiliate board members and the foundation to be part of that. We want to encourage and recognize charitable giving at all levels, and to build long-term capacity and lasting philanthropic legacies for all the communities, with investments from inside the region as well as outside the region. So we want to be a trusted mechanism for that. We want our donor advised funds to make our communities a priority for their funding, because we want them to know that our local advisory boards of our affiliates, they're the community leaders, and they know their communities and understand where the needs can best be met and make the biggest impact. So that's really important for our focus. Our affiliates, our initiatives and programs follow best practices in board participation, recruitment, governance. So we want to make sure that's all in sync. And then a diverse leadership evolves, and supporting the local communities and civic participation increases. So those are a few things that are the indicators of success in that pillar. Next slide, please. So when this goal is achieved, the long-term impact, and this one's pretty simple. Some of them have more of that, but when this goal is achieved, it will include leaders of all kinds are engaged in community development and civic leadership that advances a sustainable region. And with this goal, we feel a positive culture of philanthropy will exist from both inside and outside the region. And people are talking and telling others about the wonderful things that are happening in Appalachia, Kentucky. And I think that's something that, we all want region. Okay. Thanks. And some of the items that to achieve this goal, there's certain drivers, and of course this keeps changing. If we think about when the flood happened, a couple years ago, that probably wasn't in our in our drivers. That just wasn't something we thought about. So those are things that are changing. So we've got North Fork Local Foods, that supports our local farmers markets, the Appalachian Arts Alliance, and other local arts in other communities. We've got Food Corps, Envision Hazard. We have our fiscal sponsorships, our long-term recovery groups. Trails are in all the counties. Of course, our affiliate funds are a part of everything. We are affiliate funds, and so that's just vital to our network and the model that we have. The Sycamore Fund that works with criminal justice work in several of the counties. We see a few more counties implementing those initiatives in those counties. And then, of course, our People Ready communities, which a lot of our affiliate counties have already participated in. Okay. I think the next slide may be, I was part of the People Ready community for Floyd County, and we titled our project Why Floyd, and it was a video presentation of some of our residents of when they moved to Floyd County, how it was welcoming. And so we have a little bit of a video on that. So if you can start that, Colby.
And just a heads up for folks viewing this video is just shy of 8 minutes, but I feel like the statements made by the folks in the video are very impactful, and so please stay tuned for the entire video, and I will go ahead and play.
I'm Courtney Crowder. I am an advocate in the area for kids that might be differently able, that need more specified needs.
I grew up in Borger, Texas, which is about an hour away from Amarillo. No one ever knows where that's at. But I went to my undergrad and graduate school, and I was in Denver, Colorado for the last 3 years. And then the director of cultural diversity actually opened up at Big Sandy Community and Technical College. I call it serendipitous that I got the opportunity to come here and do something that I'm so passionate about. But that's what's taken me from Texas to Colorado to end up in Kentucky.
I grew up in Bourbon County in central Kentucky, and I graduated from Menifee County in 2012. And so as I've gotten older, I've just kind of moved further and further into the hills.
I have 2 kids that have autism and multiple diagnoses. Then I had my youngest, who is very neurotypical, and she just wanted a place to be with her siblings. And so we started out kind of an inclusion rallying for this area. Whenever we lived in Louisville, there was all kinds of things going on there for our family. And whenever we got back, it was something that hadn't really came to this area yet, just something that nobody had started yet. So we just made it happened, and everybody has jumped on board, and I have gotten to see families enjoy trick or treats for the first time, or the Christmas lights here in Prestonsburg. They have a night where there's not long lines, and the flashing lights are down, and just a huge change in everybody in the community because they have a better understanding and awareness, which brings acceptance.
as a person of color, I have experienced firsthand what it's like to be in predominantly white communities where you are definitely marginalized, pushed to the side. Growing up, I was often told that I was stupid. I was just a little brown girl that wouldn't ever succeed. So my work is really centered on trying to make a better world in academia where these students can show up and be authentically themselves and never have to feel they're inadequate, so that we can live in a more successful world knowing that everyone's participating and being good stewards of their time and resources. So DEIB is an acronym that stands for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. The DEIB office is one facet of what we're doing. We host a diversity book club, so each month we alternate fiction, nonfiction books, and we're really just trying to celebrate different cultures. We also have sharing series, so different guest speakers can come in and talk about the diversity topic of their choice. We also have mentor programs for our students, underrepresented minority and low-income students. And we also have the multicultural student organization. So we actually offer free textbooks for our members. And that's in the name of trying to create a more diverse cultural celebration air about Big Sandy Community and Technical College.
I left an abusive marriage when I came to Floyd County, and being a single mom and having 3 kids, there were a lot of needs that we had, and so we just started calling and trying to figure out where we could go and who we could talk to, and that looked like Turning Point first, and we weren't really able to go in shelter, but they put us, in contact with Mountain Comp and called Mountain Comp, and within 2 weeks we had a home. So we applied, we interviewed, found a home, and were placed. And Mountain Comp has really taken care of me and the kids and made sure that we had all the resources that we needed. One of the most profound experiences for me and the kids was Billy Ray's. We live just a few blocks away, and as a tired mom, that good home cooked food a couple blocks away is really nice. And I think in the matter of 2 months, we had been over there about 4 times, and 2 of those times someone paid for our food. They just saw a need and filled it. And I think that that's one of the most beautiful things about being out there is people just take care of each other. That's why we've stayed, is Floyd County has just really embraced us and made what is really hard, being a single mom of 3 kids, a whole lot easier.
But I found a love for this area, and I think the beauty in this area is breathtaking. It's almost like living in a commercial. Sometimes, the small town, you're able to do like a small town approach, but also there are things that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else. People want their children to be included. This movement is just coming really to all areas, but it's been something, we have this park that's going up, and I think seeing the need and adding it to your business or your event is going to be life-changing for everybody.
The community, the friends that I made through Turning Point and the Mountain Girl experience, doing the work and the volunteering that I've been doing in Wayland have just really been able to dig roots really deep into the community and not only live in a place that really supported me, but be able to give back that kind of support to the community that I love so much. But you take for granted a lot of things that are really precious. I have lived in Germany, and I've lived, right outside Baltimore. And you're not going to run into your neighbor in Food City in Baltimore. It's been so precious.
So sorry. I'll get us caught back up here.
I am an advocate. I'm Courtney Crider. I am an advocate in the area for kids that might be differently abled, that need more specified needs.
I grew up in
your neighbor in Food City in Baltimore. It's been so precious to me and my family. to see our pastor at Food City, you know, to go to Archer Park and run into our friends, and there we are together. That's a really cool thing.
I think nothing bad can happen from our efforts to try and welcome people into the community, and include them and listen to them and make the changes, the necessary changes to make sure that they can thrive here. Those people wanted to come in. It's just been so fascinating to come from even my hometown. It's very small and everyone knows your business, but here you go out and you're welcoming people in open arms. My coworkers, the friends that I've made, it just feels like the family that just keeps growing and keeps getting better every month that I'm here. So I'm just elated that Floyd County offers this sense of camaraderie, this openness, this welcomeness that I haven't been able to find anywhere else. And I've lived in Dallas, I've lived in Middle Texas, I've lived in Denver. It's just, there's something so unique about Floyd County that makes my heart happy to be able to live here.
In the area for.
All right, so I apologize for some technical navigation there. Hopefully you all received the full message there from the video, and I think that really speaks to the power of people in community living and working together and supporting each other. And Kathy, did you have anything to add before we get into Donna's presentation about people-ready communities?
Well, when we started the video series, and that's like a mashup of several of the videos. So each one has their own separate video. I mean, we didn't know what they were going to say. Not really. So, it was very pleasing and exciting to see that everybody felt, so positive about how they were received in Floyd County. And then with the Courtney that has the two children on the spectrum, all the businesses have embraced that. Like we had a parade the other day, like the sirens don't go off anymore. I mean, there's a whole nother aspect that people have been learning about the needs to for the children to feel welcome in the stores and different places like that. So it's awesome to see that materialize in Floyd County.
Yes, for sure. And just to add to that, if funders or donors see that video and those testimonies, I think they would be hard pressed not to try to help or contribute in some way.
Yeah.
And so,
and they're working on an all-inclusive park. I think she mentioned that. So that is kind of some funding that we are looking for. So anyway, okay, thanks.
great. Thank you, Kathy. And I'll hand it over to Donna to talk about people-ready communities.
Sure thing. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this People Ready Communities program, which is the program that the Floyd County team had participated in when they worked together to produce those videos, that a series of videos actually, like the one that you just saw. And so basically it's a 6-month leadership development experience that it's designed to build the capacity of these local leaders to create a community that is welcoming to a diverse workforce. And I'll talk a little bit later about why that notion of a diverse workforce is important. But if you think about building the capacity of local leaders, you can see why Brushy Fork and the Foundation partnered in this program around their roadmap kind of area that focuses on strengthening civic engagement and civic infrastructure and leadership. It's because that's what this program is designed to do. And so why would we take this People Ready Communities approach? And it's because we believe that Eastern Kentucky economies are stronger when local people are employed and communities are positioned to welcome companies and individual workers to relocate in the mountains. Essentially, we've seen years where our communities have been losing population perhaps, but we are starting to see a shift back. We're starting to see people come back into the region. And so how do we create communities that are ready to welcome diverse people and create places for everybody and create avenues for everybody to participate in the local workforce? And so let's go to the next slide, please. The concept for People Ready Communities really came from this person, Haley McCoy. And at the time, she was the president and CEO of the Kentucky Association for Economic Development. And what she was witnessing in her role in that work was that many times communities would not have answers if an industry or a remote worker or somebody who was ready to come into a community asked questions about how is your community engaging people who are diverse in the workforce? How are you engaging people who are diverse in running nonprofit organizations or being engaged civically in your community? And so these are different kinds of questions than we might expect to get from somebody who's trying to relocate to a community for economic reasons. But they have, what we are discovering is that they're interested in quality of life for everybody. And so People Ready Communities is about how can our community address those quality of life issues that will then have a ripple effect, in essence, into our economies. And so what Haley said was really, when I heard that Kentucky was losing out on economic development projects because communities couldn't answer questions about how they are addressing issues of diversity, I realized that we have an opportunity here to craft a narrative that says we want a diverse workforce to come and we are ready for them. And so that's what the People Ready Communities program does. And it connects to some of those areas that Kathy mentioned in the framework for strengthening civic infrastructure and leadership and creating that capacity of leaders. And so she talked about new and more diverse leadership for development efforts, which is what this is about. She talked about increasing external funding coming into the communities. And this program can actually do that through developing projects that bring in local or that bring in external funding sources to do community projects, and also by bringing in funding through those businesses that the community might attract. And then finally, just increasing that local civic participation in local decision making. So People Ready Communities is about all of that. And I've talked a lot about bringing in people from the outside, but sometimes those workers that we need to engage in a diverse workforce are already in our communities. And they may be people who are in recovery. They may be people who are exiting the justice system. And so how are communities ready to engage them in a diverse workforce too? We talk about all that in the People Ready Communities program. So next slide, please. And we've done 2 years of this in partnership with the foundation. In year 1, we worked with Bell County, Clay County, Floyd County, and Perry County. They all sent teams of about, between 10 and 15 people to participate in this program. The teams came together, learned about what does it mean to be a People Ready community. They created team projects. In year 2, we had Knox, Letcher, and Whitley County. And of course, we're going to hear about Knox and Letcher from folks who were on those teams. I'll mention real briefly that we don't have Whitley County represented here, but what Whitley County chose to do were a couple of murals. They're going to do one. The one you're seeing here is in Williamsburg. It represents diversity in the community. There's a lot of meaning that I know I'm going to mess up behind those 2 birds, but there's a more realistic bird. And then there's this bird that is made of these geometric shapes that is meant to represent diversity in the community. And that's diversity in ability, diversity in race, diversity in ethnicity. And so they're going to do another mural in Corbin that is also going to feature birds and is going to talk about partnership and coming together and a sense of belonging in community. And so they're going to represent that in that mural. In Bell County, I'll just touch base on one of the communities in year 1. Bell County decided to kind of look at businesses and create an inventory of people-ready businesses. And so they talked to business owners about, are you ready to welcome diverse people into your business? And they created a website, they created a directory of these Bell County people-ready businesses, and they created a logo to kind of indicate who those businesses were. So they have a way to show that. And so we have 2 organizations that are, or 2 teams, I should say, that are going to present to you here now about their People Ready Communities experience. One is from Knox County, and that's Claudia Greenwood that Colby kind of introduced earlier. She's with the Upper Cumberland Community Foundation Board and has also been on that team. And then we're also going to have Sam Adams, who is from Letcher County. It's going to present around the Letcher County Oasis work. So we will take it away there. Claudia is next.
Well, thank you for inviting me to be part of this webinar today. We were excited to be a part of the People Ready Communities program. I was first at Brushy Fork when I heard about it, and I talked to Donna and I said, we'll never get 15 people from our county to agree on anything, much less to work on something. But we did. And you can see here, this was our beginning workshop in March where we were at Berea College. And you can see that we have lots of ladies. So one thing that I'm reminded of is that we're trying to encourage men and we're trying to get some youth to come and be part of our group, which I will talk about a little bit further.
Hit the right arrow button.
Pardon? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
He must have just been talking to somebody else. I could hear Kobe. So we came together. We got to know each other better, even though some of us know each other very well. And we all had the same common goal. And that was the goal that Kathy talked about. We want leaders engaged in community development because we want to sustain our community and we're proud of our community. And one thing that I've shared with the Brushy Fork people is we have seen change in our community recently in the last couple of years because we've hired a new tourism director. And our tourism director has lots of outdoor activities, lots of indoor activities, has lots of things for the kids to do. We have free movies. Our town looks like a little storybook town for every holiday. And I have seen such a change in people's attitudes toward who we are, and they're proud of where we're from. And they actually invite people to come to see what's going on in our county. So I see that as a first step. And as that first step, then we have developed this People Ready Communities where we're working together. The lady you see in the front who's taking the selfie has moved to our county. She has roots there, but she has moved back to our county. And she is like the foundation. She works with SOAR now. She's just worked for them for about 2 or 3 weeks. And we are shaping our region. And that's one of the goals is keeping people in our region and bringing industry in our region. And as Donna talked about, I had 3 things on these indicators of success for strengthening community and leadership is younger leaders. You can see here there's a diverse group of ages in here, but we have a couple of people who are 30s, maybe late 20s, and then we have people that are even older than I. So we go from late 20s to 70-ish. And like Donna talked about, we're always looking for anything that will help our community. This group of people wants our community to do the best that it can be. We're looking always for grants for increased external funding, and we find that through our Upper Cumberland Community Foundation. We have awarded grants to people. And the last thing that I put here is that we want to increase local civic participation. And I have seen that happening as well. Just this week, we had a library board meeting with the fiscal court. We probably had 30 people show up in support of the library, which at one point we might not have had anyone. And many of them were from this group that showed up. So we're already reaching some of those goals. If you'll go to the next slide, please. At Brushy Fork in March, we began by making a plan, and we have roles. Now, here are some of the roles that you see here, who's going to do what, so that we just don't wander along and not have anybody in charge. And as you can see, we have people in charge of coordinating for us. We have people in charge of financing. We have people in charge of publicity, food, taking minutes, reaching out to the community and letting people know what was going on. And therefore, we worked this out. We worked with one of the facilitators at Brushy Fork, David Cook. I believe that's correct. And he was very good to help us stay focused during our 3 days of initiation of training. we decided upon a goal of entrepreneurship and developing that in our area. And as you can see, we decided we would like to have a pop-up shop. So one of the ladies in our group, actually drew this as a vision of what our pop-up shop would look like. And she colored it that day. And we like, yeah, that's what we want. We want a pop-up shop where people can come to sell their wares, maybe even just to advertise things that are going on. And so that was our initial plan. Next slide, please. Here is at the end. We were leaving Berea with our plan. And as you can see, we are a diverse group of ladies, different ages, and we come from lots of different jobs, lots of different employment. Many are educators. We have someone working with the college. We have a real estate agent. We got, like on the bottom row in the black is the lady who just started working with SOAR. Behind her, we have Marcia Dixon, who is our tourism director, who has made lots of changes that's changed people's attitude. We see there people who are working with Rural Partners of Education Grant, KCEOC, former teachers, former Resource Center regional directors. And so we have a lot of things. Well, the first thing on our plan was to try to find a trailer to do our pop-up shop. And this was not nearly as easy as you would think it would be. So after 3 or 4 tries finding a trailer, we find this trailer up a holler. And yes, we have hollers where I live. And you can see this horse trailer out on a farm. Okay, next slide, please. The horse trailer we bought, it was transformed, and here you can see it was painted. There was new flooring put in, there's shelving put in, the open door for advertising, for selling, you can stay in there. I think we have a refrigerator in there, and there's electricity that you can hook up to that. So this is our product that we came up with. Next slide, please. There you can see it is behind the tourism building finished. So we had the final product, and on the right you see what we had before we began. We had local people that helped us with this project. Sharon Williams had donated the paint for the project, so that was not an expense for us. A man named Roger Stone painted it for us for free. We had fabrication done on it, and that was Rob Smith. Rob Smith did charge for his materials that he used, but he did free labor for us. So we involved community people. And when we had our ribbon cutting, we invited those people to come as well. And just recently, we had our Daniel Boone Festival in Barberville, Kentucky. And we had our first vendor, I guess you would say. She made over $1,000 that weekend using this trailer, selling her baked goods, which are superb, and was so very happy and said, I want to get put on your list for next October so that I can do this again during Daniel Boone Festival. It can be moved from place to place. So when we have downtown events, it can be moved from the tourism lot to downtown. We have come up with a plan, which was not an easy feat either, to what we wanted to do. So we charge $50 for 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You get your $50 back if you leave it in the mint condition like that it was when you got it. So it's not costing people anything. You go to the tourism office to fill out an application and give your $50 cash, and then you receive that back. So we've already had lots of people that's asked about it since it was used the first of this month for Daniel Boone Festival, and they've been very excited about this. We had a big article on the front page of our paper, our local paper, about this and the ribbon cutting, which you'll see on the next slide. Here we are. We I'm the Chamber of Commerce person, and I really didn't invite the whole chamber because I wasn't sure. But we did have people from our local police department, not the city, but this was our county police department. And you can see they had lots of officers come. There's our committee. Right in the center beside the scissors in the light purple shirt is the lady. Nope. The light purple shirt is the lady who, yes, that's the one. She donated the paint from Sharon Williams. The man standing right beside her was Mr. Stone. He's the one who painted the trailer for us. And so we have several people. We have our mayor somewhere in there. Maybe not. Maybe he was gone that weekend. But here you can see again the people on the committee that worked on this project. Next slide, please. Here are people we decorated for her that used it the first time. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the original committee that was there for this. We have food. We invited the people who came to the ribbon cutting to enjoy the food with us. And so it's just been a great project. We're already looking at expanding this group of people to work. And the way that we're doing that is we have applied for community accelerator program. And we have been accepted. And so on November 14th, we will start that project and we will come up with another project or expand this. Before we finished, our group decided that we wanted to do some other things to help local entrepreneurs, maybe develop a manual or a video or a website, what you can do if you want to develop a business, if you want to start a business. And so this group is working together and we're just really excited. We're so happy to have had this opportunity to work with Brushy Fork and the great leadership that we've had. And I encourage any group to do it because if I can get 15 people in Barberville to work together, that's great. And we are a very diverse group of people, but we all want the same thing. We want our county to be the best that it can be, to grow and to prosper and to develop young leaders. I think that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Claudia. And, that's the best we can hope for through this program, People Ready Communities. And so heartened to learn that you all will continue the work beyond the program and in different ways. So thank you so much. And next we'll hear from Sam Adams. He is a participant from Letcher County. He is a part of the Letcher County Oasis team. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sam.
I have to unmute myself so I can talk. Okay, we had 14 people, I think, at the Oasis or at the Brushy Fork People Ready Communities training. And in talking about this, we went a little different route. We decided that people are not going to work or not going to be able to focus on working if they can't meet their daily basic needs. And one of those daily basic needs is water. So we decided on a water kiosk to be built. Next slide. In 2022, we were hit really hard with the flood. We had hundreds of people who were homeless. Next slide. This was a 1,000-year flood that nobody expected, hundreds of people homeless. And Fleming Neon, which is a very small city in Letcher County, about 600 or 700 people. There are 3 cities in the county. Fleming Neon was hit especially hard by that. It floods if it rains hard. They have a 1,000-year flood. It's just not something that city can handle. So the people there were without water for 28 days. Brought in by tractor trailers. They had to have shower facilities set up in the community. Nothing worked. So our thought was how could we address that problem if anything like this happens in the future? And not only from disasters, Fleming Neon has regular problems with its water system. It gets its water from deep mines, wells drilled into deep mines. And when the weather gets dry, especially in midwinter, you know, when things are really, really parched, there's no water left in those mines, or not enough to recharge the system and provide water for all of the customers. While the city only has about 600 people in it, there are about 3,500 homes on the water system there. It's just outdated. It was too small to begin with, and then it's expanded as well. Next slide. So we decided to address that with this kiosk. And one of the reasons behind that is that the water that was brought in during the emergency there was no place to store it. It was left outside in large part, and the sun shining through these bottles destroyed it. It ruined the water. The health department tested it, said it was unsuitable for drinking after a few months. So there was all of this plastic to get rid of, all of this water to get rid of, and it was just a waste. Next slide. Like Governor Beshear said later after the flood, was the stuff you can see is the hardest to do. The stuff you can't see is the hardest to do. The water and sewer projects, the roads, getting money to build these new houses, these high ground subdivisions that they're talking about. Well, you can't see the water lines. Water lines in Neon are broken. They lose a huge percentage of their treated water. So we wanted to find a way around that. Next slide. Now, building a water system takes a lot of time and a whole lot of money. It's also very regulated. As a citizens group, there was no way that we could run a water system or that we could raise enough money to help them supply water to these communities. But nothing says we can't supply water from an existing system. Next slide. We found a location that where we can combine two solutions and two water systems. The Hemp Hill Community Center, which is just outside Fleming Neon, can be served by either the Fleming Neon Water Company or the Letcher County Water and Sewer District. It takes turning one valve. You turn the water off from Neon, turn it on from the county, and the water keeps going. So this picture on the left is kind of the initial thing we thought about. Just a kiosk that people could walk up to, drop 50 cents in or something, and get a 5-gallon jug of water. That's well and good, but 5 gallons is not going to last very long. And, you know, it's hard to carry 5 gallons of water back and forth by jug. In working with a national nonprofit called Dig Deep, we learned that some of these places use a swing arm system as well as the kiosk. And you'll see that in the right picture. During the flood, a lot of people here were carrying around 200-gallon plastic tanks in the back of pickup trucks and trying to go someplace and fill those up, or they'd dump buckets in the back. They'd go to the water tankers that came in and fill them up. So what if we could do this on a regular basis, whether there's a current water emergency or not, whether it's just drought, whether somebody needs to fill up a swimming pool at their home, whether somebody needs water for some sort of agricultural project, whatever. They could go to this place, fill it up at a very minimal cost, less than you could buy a bottle of water for, 5 gallons for less than you get a bottle of water for. And they could also pull a pickup truck under and fill it with 200 gallons just by paying a little more. So the plan was to build this kiosk on the left with the swing arm on the right, make this available where people can use coins or dollar bills, $5 bills, or swap a credit card or a debit card to get water to put in their tank. Next slide. Now, it's located at a community center, and the county owns the community center, so there's no cost to put it there. There's no property to buy, nothing to do like that. You've got the 2 water sources that are switchable. That particular community center did not get flooded, and the water would be at, as it turns out, at no cost to those who need it. And I'll get to that in a minute. We also included a green space where the families can leave their kids to play while they fill their water tanks or whatever, or they can just go and sit if they want to. And we're going to add playground equipment to the green space that is already there, so it will be accessible to all regardless of their abilities. Next slide. This is an example of some of the playground equipment that would be at that site. This would be, you know, kids in wheelchairs could pull up to it or whatever and still use it. Next slide. So we started trying to figure out how to pay for this. We contacted multiple nonprofits all over the place. Dig Deep was one of them. There were many others. We also talked to government funding sources like the rural development. What we eventually figured out was it was going to be fastest to partner with an NGO because you don't have as much red tape through them as you do through government grants. And we're kind of racing the clock because people start losing water there in December or January. So hopefully we can get this finished by then. We don't have it completed, or we don't actually have the ground broken yet, but it is in the design phase. We partnered with an NGO called Together We Thrive, and they are starting the design, and they're going to pay for the whole thing, beginning to end. They'll build the kiosk, or they'll give us the money and let us find somebody to build the kiosk locally. Next slide. And I guess that was all of my slides. So,
yes.
But anyway,
yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
That will be built. The design is underway now, and we have the property secured. Everything's ready to go.
Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing about the water kiosk. And just to clarify, the team, Letcher County Oasis, decided initially at the opening workshop during the beginning of the People Ready Communities project period that they would get the water kiosk to a point where it was shovel ready. So construction was not involved, and it won't be involved as it's associated with this project or the funding. And also the green space that is adjoining with the project. And so that's what the playground equipment was that was presented. That's why you see that there. And I know we are running short on time, so I'll go ahead and get to the next slide. And I think Donna might have some comments around community engagement.
Yeah, so we're all familiar with the floods that happened in 2022, and that's what I want to talk about now with, again, a partnership that the foundation and Brushy Fork did together about engaging communities and how we're going to deal with that disaster. And so in October, from October to December of 2022, we held a series of listening sessions with families. And we also sent out surveys to families that had received emergency aid directly from the foundation. Those community listening sessions were to inform the long-term response that needed to happen in the communities. And then we also made sure to try to travel to some of those more remote areas so that we weren't just meeting in the county seats all the time, although we did meet in some county seats. Brushy Fork produced a written report for the foundation so that they could then use that to guide some of their future thinking. And we engaged WEKU during those listening sessions to keep that narrative current and on people's minds. You know, what happens during these disasters is a lot of times folks are afraid that they're going to be forgotten. And so keeping it in the forefront of the media was part of what happened during this community engagement work. And so next slide. We had 603 survey responses, and this heat map kind of shows where those survey responses came from. So those were the way that's one way we lifted some voices. We created this survey, made it accessible to be done by cell phone or by computer, either one. So next slide. I'm going to try to move quickly because I know we're slow on time. We had 4 community sessions where we met with people in places. And Breathitt County, we were at the Marie Roberts Elementary School. We had 197 people join us for that session. Totally blew us away. We did not expect to see that kind of turnout. Letcher County at Kane Kitchen, this was our first session. We had not really gotten the hang of how to promote these very well. We had 40 people there, though, that still continued to give good input. Again, it was one of our first sessions, so you'll see the number was a little lower. In Knott County, at Emelina Elementary School, we had 128 people who gathered. And in Perry County, at the Perry County Public Library, we had 69 people who gathered. And so we talk about those communities, but this list down below are all the areas that were represented when people gave responses in those flood recovery sessions. So you can see that there are a lot of very tiny communities that might not otherwise be heard from that we reached out to and got representation from at those sessions. So, and basically what this did is it gave a direction for long-term recovery efforts that was completely community driven. And this is a list, and I'm not going to read through everything on it, but this is a list of things that people said they still needed, some of which still felt pretty short-term, like the mold remediation, and people were still without HVAC and heating. But then there are things like mental health care, creating early flood warning systems. How do we let people know that this is happening if it happens again? Managing some issues that people were having with mortgages and taxes on destroyed properties that were going to be long-term issues for them. So again, I'm not going to read through everything there, but these are the things that came directly from people that we engaged them in communities to respond to. And then next slide. So we directly heard from 430 people in those listening sessions, and we got 603 surveys back. So that's probably more than 1,000 voices that might have otherwise gone unheard had it not been for the efforts of the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky to fund this work, to get out into communities and really pull that information into the planning. And we did end up getting that actually to folks at HUD, so that they had that community input as well. So that's all I'll say about that. And I think Kathy's going to talk a little bit now about the Appalachian Helene Response Fund that's currently going on.
Yeah, the foundation does. We're supporting the Appalachian Funders Network in their efforts to raise money for the Helene Response Fund. So that's on all of our social media platforms. If anybody wants to donate to that, or if any organizations that might want to support those efforts. I mean, we've all seen the pictures, on TV, and some of our folks have been down there, and a lot of people, a lot of our utility workers I know have been sent that way. So, we want to kind of pay it forward a little bit. I mean, that's kind of my thought. I mean, they were so supportive in our flood relief efforts a couple of years ago. If there's anything that you can do to support that, please share it out on social media. It's going to be a long recovery effort for them, just as it was for us. I mean, ours is still continuing, and we know that's been over 2 years ago. So it is a long recovery effort. So anyway, any support you can give for that, share it out to all your networks, and we can see how much we can support that. So thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. And just really quickly, and I know we're over time, but this is just an example of, while we're on the strategic roadmap session webinar today, this is an almost immediate response and an example of how the foundation is helping to respond to a naturally occurring disaster. And so thank you, Kathy, for sharing that. And I'll be sure to include that in the outreach to affiliate board members after the fact. And we don't have time for questions, but I will let you take in these questions just briefly. We don't have time for discussion, I should say, but what excites you about what you heard? Have you seen similar kinds of activity in your community? And then lastly, could you use any of these concepts in your community? So I'll leave you all to think about that. And just to wrap up really quickly here, as far as the remaining schedule for this roadmap session series, we will not meet in November or December. We will join back up. We will resume in January. So the next meeting will be on connecting and strengthening local nonprofits. And that is January 16th at 11 a.m. That is a Thursday, as these sessions always are. And you can register at the link there. Let's see, I'll highlight that with a cursor here, just so you all can see that. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to Leah Van Winkle. Her email address is there. And with that, I just want to thank everyone for showing up and sharing about efforts related to this roadmap topic, and hope to see you all again in January, and reach out with any questions you might have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kobe. And Claudia, I've shared your all's idea with so many people. So,
Okay, good.
yeah, I'm just like, this is what they've done. So anyway, thank you all.
Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
everybody take care.